And in that 12 days, she did suffer greatly, more so than in a lot of her other attacks that we've seen. And I think through that suffering, the Lord's hand was there, and her family, and I think the church family, and even our extended family began to see things there in that experience that we didn't really had never really struck us so hard before, and that, at least that's the way it hit me. And we'd heard and been approached by doctors about a procedure to remove her pancreas in the past, about 2 years ago, and we all just sort of brushed it off, and it's a quality of life thing, and her quality of life is okay in between these attacks and stuff. And it's kind of grown and grown, and in this last attack we all kind of had some unanimity there and said something's got to be done. You know, she can't continue to suffer like this. And I think the Lord's hand was in that, and I think that even in the suffering that she had this last time with the feeding tube, which was kind of a new thing, at least in the past few years we haven't had to experience that, and just the brutal pain that she was going through, and the nausea and everything that continued. I think the Lord showed us in that there was hope for her, and that not just hope that this would end this time and that we would go a week or a month or a year and not do it again, but there was hope that there was a cure for what she had. And so we began to sort of, in the 12 days I spent there in the hospital with her, I kind of ran out of things to do, as bad as that sounds, and my mind and my heart just began to really be burdened by this hope for a cure. So I began to search on the internet and do research on the things that we already knew, but I wanted to know a little more about them. And I came across the University of Minnesota, which is the university and the doctor that pioneered the surgery that had been mentioned previously, and I'm sure all of you kind of know about the surgery through the talk that we've had the past few weeks on it. But so I began to email and call, and the contact number there, and the lady called me right back the next day, and even through email she would respond within 2 or 3 minutes. If I would send her an email, and within 2 or 3 minutes she would send me one back. It was almost like instant messaging, the lady. And she was very, very responsive and kind, and seemed to want to help us, and understood Lacey's situation. And we began to read testimonials, and I don't want to drag this out too much, but the Lord just began to work in all that, and He showed us things that we had not really realized before about the success of the surgery and the statistics behind the surgery, and the fact that there are at least 277 people that have had the surgery whose story is just like Lacey's. They've had doctors tell them that they had this or they had that, or that their pancreas wasn't involved, or that, you know, it was all in their mind. And we've heard everything from every doctor that we've seen that don't believe what's going on, except for the ones that are professionals with the pancreas that totally agree with her case. So that in itself was some hope, to know that there was at least 277 up until this point other people that have had this surgery. And the statistics of success are wonderful, and I've really not heard anything bad as far as the surgery not being successful. And I've researched it pretty deeply over the past few weeks. Anyway, I contacted, and we worked for a week or two to send a synopsis of Lacey's story, of her life story, medical records from Tulane and from Wisconsin and from Baptist Hospital in Jackson and from Fort Signal, which was a lot of red tape to get all that stuff sent and faxed and mailed, and I don't know that it's all done yet. But in the meantime, this lady the contact lady at Minnesota University, has been very responsive to anything I've asked, and the Lord's just worked things out, even with the medical records and having to fax signatures, which you're not really supposed to do. You're supposed to drive to these facilities and sign it. Lacey's supposed to be with me, and we're supposed to mail these things in person, and fax machines aren't really supposed to be an issue here because of the HIPAA privacy and all that stuff. But they've been very, very cooperative with us, and I see that as the Lord just providing for us. And there's really not been any, we've not had any run-ins, and I did even call our insurance company, and it's a health benefit that my insurance company does pay for, even this surgery. And there's just been so many steps that the Lord has just laid out before us and continued to walk us in that way. And even after what Brother Dan's preached this morning, that there's purpose in this. Even 12 years ago when this first attack started, there's been a purpose in every attack. And it's hard for us to verbalize that, and it's definitely hard to believe that. But when you begin to see God's hand working through these things, it makes it that much more obvious that none of this snuck up on God. and none of it slipped by him. It all crossed the palm of his hand as it came to us, and it was from him directly. And I do see this as a hope that we have. And we were kind of left in limbo on Thursday and Friday, and then yesterday morning we were coming back from Walmart. My phone rang, and it was a restricted ID, and I typically don't answer that with my job, and it can be kind of ticky answering calls. And I said, well, I'm not going to answer that. And it rang 2 or 3 times, and I clicked it and answered. I couldn't stand it, just ignore a phone call. And it was Dr. David Sutherland, who is the doctor that pioneered the surgery in 1977. He's done, I guess that would be over 30 years of research with the pancreas and with this specific surgery. It was him in person. It was almost like a phone call from God almost. We were both like, whoa, and it was him on the phone. And the minute I said, hey, Dr. Sutherland, Lacey started crying. And it was just hope. It was another step toward a cure. And he was very reassuring. He said that he had read the synopsis of Lacey's life over the past years, and he said it seems like everything that could be done has been done for y'all. He said it seems like this is an appropriate next step, and I told him, I said, yeah, we feel the same way. We've seen just probably over 100 GI doctors over in the past. We've seen, doctors in every facility, and every time we go in, we see new doctors. And I told him that, and he was very understandable, and he actually asked me some questions about her physically, about her enzymes, and about the things that a lot of the doctors here say, well, that's not pancreatitis. He confirmed that was definitely a case of pancreatitis, and that was pancreatitis to the extent, to the severity of the surgery being the only cure for her. And I told him about Lacey and the blessing she's been, and the fact that Lacey's had to be away from her over the past several months, several days and nights, and that it's really sort of paralyzed our lifestyle. And we do still see all this from the hand of God, but it does seem to all come together when you see God bringing a cure and a hope, and even it's such a testimony. I was telling her yesterday about what a testimony she has and we have through this. And anyway, he talked, and he told me to assure Lacey that next year would be a different year for her, and that her life would be drastically different in 2010. So it was reassuring, and it was a confirmation that our work had been successful in getting the medical records there, and that they had received. And he had even called me on a Saturday morning and took about 10 minutes to talk to us and reassure us. So just continue to pray for us. I know that the Lord's working here for us, and we're so thankful, even for the attack that she had, as horrible as it was. I think it was the Lord showing us that there is a next step, and it's time to go that way, and for us to pursue that. And that her quality of life over the past few months has just not been, physically, it's just been tough. It's been really tough for her and for us, but we always have had hope here, and now the Lord's beginning to confirm some of our hope with some answers. And if y'all just continue to pray for us, and even pray for the doctors there. They've done this, like I said, up into the research up into 2006. They've done 277 of these cases, so it's probably more than that now. But it's a very dangerous, invasive surgery, and the doctors are highly trained. They're the best doctors in the nation up there, and I'm just thankful that we've been exposed to information to get a hold of them. And just continue to pray for us, and just know that the Lord's working in our lives, and we're so thankful for it.
And I would add to that, the doctor assured Jeremy that he would see to it that the surgery was done before the end of this year. So we just are rejoicing in this. And Lacey has asked me if she could come and sing an expression of her gratitude this morning. You think you can do that, baby? She's going to sing "Great is Thy Faithfulness."